And with that, we have our upgraded website where we have now the ability to embed videos in our posts, and we have the ability to bundle various posts into series. And I think this is looking great. Thanks for tuning in to yet another episode of Building the OpenSource-Odyssey website. In this video, we will start with modeling our payload collections to allow the platform to do what we want it to do. In the very first video of this series, when we discussed what this website should be able to do, we said, okay, there needs to be some kind of way to explore the videos just like you can on YouTube, but also on the website. And for this, we will extend our existing post collection that we got out of the box with the Create Payload app. And second of all, we also want to add another collection so we can group our videos into these series. Most of the projects that I'm doing will be longer running, so there will be more than one video to cover a topic. Yeah, it's just nice to keep everything organized, and we can have these kind of playlists thing, but they are called on YouTube, but also on our website. So this is the thing I want to do in today's video. But even before I start with that, I just had my development server up here again. So currently I'm on the posts page that already exists. That also came with the Create Payload app and the website template. I noticed, however, in the last video we did the branding, as you can very nicely see here. I noticed that the favicon in the admin works great, but not in the browser. So I want to fix that first. Here I am in the code project again, and in order to find the favicon, I'm going to do a full text search over the entire project and just go for favicon. And I see I have it in the layout 2 references. So here we have a reference to favicon.ico and .svg. But in the last video, I removed these files. So in my public folder, I only have the fonts and the logos, but I removed the favicon. So I also need to adjust the path here. And first up, I'm going to get rid of this favicon ico altogether, just because I don't have a .ico file. I do, however, have a lot of SVG files. So for example, here I have the mark green light, which is this little icon here. So this is exactly what I want to be using as a favicon. And the fact that it's SVG just means it's going to be scaled really nicely. So all I have to do here is enter the path where this file will be hosted later on. Since it's in the public folder, this refers to the slash. Then I have my logos directory. And finally, I have my mark_light-green. Mark_light-green. And if I give this a save and go back to my development server, bam, you can see I already have the favicon. Great. So let's just make a quick commit of this. Fix favicon for front end, and then let's get popping to the collections. As with all payload out of the box stuff, there is this collections folder that we have. So here I have the pages collection, the post collection, the user collection, some categories, and the media collection. Like I said in the slides, first we will extend the posts collection. So I'm going to hop into this index.js for the posts and fold everything here. Let's ignore the imports for now and fold this at level 2. So we have this post, and we provided this collection config, which comes out of payload itself. And while I'm on this page, I also noticed that I have these relative imports that, as you may know, I don't like. So I'm just going to reference this absolutely. It looks much better. Also, let's commit this, refactor, give this a commit right away so we don't forget. So here we have this collection config coming out of payload, and we pass it this posts. I assume this is referring to the slug, but you could also have it like this without the generic type, but I'm going to leave it. I'm sure they knew what they were doing. And this collection config is very core to the entire payload philosophy. We can describe not only the database table, what fields it should have in the table, what type these fields are, but we can describe much more. For example, the access control of who can create, delete, read, and update these posts right here. Then we have default populate, which will be used when we populate this collection in a lookup from another collection. So these fields by default will always be present. We have some settings for the administrator, like what columns should be shown by default when you go to the post collection. In my case, this is empty right now. How the preview should work, what the document should use as a title. And then we have the fields right here. And the fields is where we describe the shape of this edit view. So this is one part. And the other part, of course, is that we type our schema for the database and we tell the database which fields are required, which fields we want to index, and all that kind of good stuff. As with everything that is regarding payload, I highly encourage you to check out the configuration and collections over here, where they have all of these options displayed in details and also give some examples of it. So I won't go into a lot of detail about how we can create collections. I'm just going to do the thing that I need for my particular use case right now. So let's gain a quick overview. We have the title field. Actually, let's do it over here. So we have a title field. Let's call this Hello World. We have a content section. So we have 3 tabs here, the content, the meta, and the SEO. The content is where we can select an image, where we can type some text. We can provide it some metadata, for example, which categories this post belongs to and what other posts are related to it. And then we have an SEO section where we can kind of generate this open graph data. If you are posting a link to this post on Twitter, for example, what image should be shown, what's the title that should be shown, and so on and so forth. So a very basic collection that nevertheless is very solid and a very solid starting point. So I'm gonna hijack it. And all I really need to do here, if we come back to my presentation, is we want to add a text field where we can provide the link to a video, like this one here, for example. So what we need to do is come in here, and I will put this into the content section. So maybe up top, let's do it. I'm going to create a new object, and now I will define the new field that we will have. So the name will be video URL. The type of the field will be a text field. Let's give this a save first and see how our admin view has changed here. So if I give this a refresh now, you can see we have a new field here called video URL, where I can now paste this video URL. And now I could hit publish. So let's see how this very post looks right now when I go over to our post site. So we have the headline here for posts showing 1 out of 1 and a very ugly looking little card here that when I click on it should bring me to the post. And yes, so here we have this hero image, which is currently empty. We have some information about when this was published, the title of the post, and then my content right here. In order for us to actually show this video on the post page, we want to embed it. We don't only want to link it, but we want to allow the user to watch the video directly by staying on our website. And the way we can do this is with an iframe tag. So here we have an iframe where we specify the width, the height, and the source of the video. And this is exactly what we will need on our post page. So we added the video URL to the schema, and we may do some refinement later on. But now let's first be able to view this new video that we just linked here. So I will go to my app router and into the front end. Then I'm going to go into the post, into the slug, because we are on one specific post page. And first up, I'm going to check out the page itself. Let's fold everything again. So we are generating some static params that can be used at build time to statically generate the sites. We have our main page component, which is called post, and we have a function to generate our metadata. Let's hop into this post component right here and take a quick look. So we are checking if we are in draft mode. We are waiting the slug in the params promise. We're getting our post by the slug. If we don't get a post, we throw a redirect. So this will be if I enter some gibberish here. Now there is no post that can be found, and we get this redirect where we can go back to the home site. And if we do have a post, we will render this return right here. So we have an article with some padding on the bottom and the top, a page client. Let's quickly check this out. So here we just have the header theme. I think I may get rid of this at some point because I don't really need it, but let's leave it for now. Again, we have a payloads redirect, allows redirects for valid pages too. All right. Then if we are in draft mode, we have a live preview listener. So this would be for our live preview feature here, where we can edit the site and view it in real time. Then we have the post hero. So this is our image section here. And then we are rendering the divs with the rich text for our content. So here we pass the content into the data. So I believe what we want to do is put our iframe up top right here. So let's give this a quick save and see what would happen. So already you can see, all right, we have this video that will be embedded. It's of Bohemian Rhapsody, so not quite correct. What we would need to do is, instead of having this hard-coded URL right here, this right here, we want to pass the video URL of our post. And we can do that just by this. And see how magic that is, that when we get the type suggestion here, we get all of the different fields that we have on our post entity, as well as the newly added video URL. And if we hover over it, we see that it is of string, null, or undefined, because I didn't make the field required. So what I will do to get rid of this TypeScript error is just wrap this entire thing and say, please only show if the video URL is actually present. So this way TypeScript is happy. If there is no video URL, we will render the page just as it would normally be. And if we go back now, we can see that YouTube has refused the connection. That is interesting for sure. Let's go back to the normal Hello World site. So here we have the same issue. Maybe this will be a setup of YouTube itself. But regardless, I think I want to center this element a little bit more in the center. So here I will wrap it with a div. Actually, let's do it like this. So div with a full width, and it's going to be a flex container with justify center, and just for good measures, also item center. And now if I put it in here, this should center my content. Great. Let's maybe investigate this error, what it could be. So here we get the error, refuse to display iframe because it is set X-frame options to same origin. And according to this post right here, it's because I put the watch with the question mark instead of the embed. So let's quickly give this a try. All right, there we go. This is looking nice. So we already have our first video on the screen here. I think I want to make it a little bit bigger though. So now I need to do some quick math. So let's do, I don't know, 420 times 1.2, make it 20% bigger. And then the other value would be 315 times 1.2. So this is just to preserve the aspect ratio that it currently has. It's 378. All right, so this is a little bit bigger. I think this is fine. And yeah, just like that, we have a video on our posts model. And we display this also in the page. So I think in this regard, we're looking very good. Now, this is something that I needed to tweak here. It was not very intuitive. And I think there may be a future point in time where I maybe forget about this, or I have some other person administrating this site. So maybe it would be better to only add this video ID here, or at least validate this field somehow. So you cannot paste the watch command here. And I think for my purposes, I will stay dry. So I'm not going to repeat myself. And I think I will change this video URL to just the video ID. So let's come back into the posts index. And let's switch the video URL to video ID. Let's make it a little bit more descriptive. So we can go and for the administrators, add a description. All right, so now when I go view this field, it is gone. Maybe I need to refresh. Okay. So there is the video ID again. The value is empty because I renamed the field. And I have my little description below. So this is very good, but it's not quite robust enough. I think I need to validate the input that if an administrator puts something here, I really want to make sure that they cannot put the wrong thing in. So for this, what I can do is I can validate the user input. For this, I'm going to go to the fields overview and search for validate here. So validations. All right, so here we get this very simple syntax that we receive the value that was put into the field, and then we can do some return logic on it. For example, if it is a Boolean, then we will return the Boolean value. If the text field is not empty, I guess. And otherwise, we return this error message. So let's give this a try. I'm going to go in here and say validate. We will get our value. And then in this function, maybe we will say if value starts with. And now I'm going to paste the YouTube thing. So if it starts with the YouTube URL, and I guess I should wrap this in an if statement. Actually, let's go like this, ternary. Then I want to say else, we will say true. So it's not a really solid validation here, but it should do at least a little bit. Now if I go back here and let's go and add the YouTube URL again without the quotes. So this should throw an error now. Please correct invalid fields. Yeah, the error unfortunately is not very descriptive. If I only save this. So then it's saving correctly. I'm not too happy with it because the error message is not very descriptive and it is not quite what I'm looking for. Instead, what I think I'm looking for is a function that allows me to manipulate the data that I get. So this would be called, I think this would be a hook that we need. So in here in the hooks field, hooks for fields, we can pass a before validate hook. And I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a combination of the two. So this before validate hook would run whenever we create and update the document, and we can change the value that we return. So let's say, and now this is showing an error. Let's see what this is. Undefined is not assignable to type string. What's the matter here? Let's give this a body. So we can come in here and first of all return this, but also console log the value. And I guess there's a comma here at the end that it doesn't like it. All right, so now let's come back in here. Give this a try again with the definitely incorrect input. So now I get the error again. So let's add this hook. So hooks. Then we want to have the before validate hook. Before we validate, we will receive the value. And let's do some magic on it here. First up, I'm going to copy this and say if value starts with youtube.com/watch ? So if value starts with cannot find name value. Why is that? Return value. Oh. Is it because I didn't close my round bracket here? That was it. All right, so first up, let's have the default case where we just return the value, which is fine. Then if we, and what's it complaining here about? Doesn't know, okay. Value should be of type string. So what I want to do is I want to kind of take the work of the administrator, and if they just paste the entire URL, that should be fine. I just want to replace the text. So I think what I need to do here is say value replace all, or let's say replace. The search value will be this YouTube string here, and the replace value will be just an empty thing. And then I also want to replace the other case where somebody entered the embed URL. We have let sanitized URL is equal to value, and then sanitized URL is equal to this replace and this replace, and then in the end we return the sanitized URL. So I don't quite know why I get this error right here. Let's also log the value here. So I realized my mistake, which is that I needed to wrap this right here in an array, because we could have multiple before validate hooks. So this right now should be working well, and it's not. Syntax error at 95. Okay, so this needs to go here. All right, so the before validate is now looking good. And the validate function itself, I guess we could get rid of now. We don't really need it. So let's test this out now. I'm going to come in here. Let's do a refresh so it's clean for sure. All right. And now I'm going to give this a save. And you can see the URL gets truncated and we are left with only the video ID. Amazing. The thing that we do need to do now, though, is in our posts page. So let's come to posts and then slug page. We need to construct the string ourselves. So first of all, it's not called video URL anymore. It's video ID now. And great that we got this TypeScript error right out of the box. So here we will have the video ID by the end, and then before it we will have this right here. So now again the video should be displayed, and it is. It's just the wrong video. Amazing! All right, so we have the video. Let's give this all a quick commit. Great. The next thing I want to cover is adding a series to this posts. And for this, we will create a brand new collection. So this will be interesting and fun. We don't really need right now any other additional logic. So I'm just going to call it series TS. And now we will write the entire payload configuration from scratch. So we will say export default. Actually, let's take a look at the categories for inspiration. Export const. Okay, so not the default. Export const. And then we have series. It's going to be a collection config. And the reason why I always do it like this is because now I get all of the cool type hinting. So the slug is going to be series, and the fields will be, well, what fields do we need? Maybe let's check our smart nodes again. So in the series, we want to have a title for our series. We want to have a cover image, and we want to have a relationship to the episodes, meaning this is a one-to-many relationship. So one series can have multiple episodes, but each episode only can have one series. So let's start with something easy, which is the title field. So the name will be title. The type will be text. It will be required. And we will also set it as the title in our admin portal. So here we say title. And in order for us to now see this collection in our admin portal, all we need to do is come into the payload config, go to the collections down here. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger for now. And then in here, we can now say we also want to import the series. Let's make sure the import matches the other ones. So this is going to be the @ symbol. And now if I go back to my admin portal, you can see we already have the series in here. And I could create a new series. This is not going to do much. It will just have this title field. So we also want to have a image field. For this, let's take inspiration from our posts. And here I will say, copy this thing. And instead of hero image, we call it cover image. But it's also going to be of type upload. The uploads will land into our media collection here. And so this is great. And now finally, what I need to do is to add my relationship field. And this is going to be posts, the name. The type will be relationship. And now the magic of TypeScript allows me to, again, look up all of the fields that I need to fill. So here we have the field, what other collection should this be related to? And I, again, get all of the nice type suggestions. So I'm just going to say it's going to be related to posts. Give this a save. And let's also add the has many to true here. So now when I create a new series, I have my post select here and I can see the thing. But actually, I think I put the relationship the wrong way around, because the flow, how it will usually go is I will create a series beforehand. For example, the building the OpenSource-Odyssey website series. And then I'm going to add one post after another, one video after another. And for each of those videos, I'm going to reference the building the OpenSource-Odyssey website series inside of the post. So this should be the other way around. Let's go here into the meta thing, where we also have already the related posts and categories. And I will basically add another field here. So I will copy this relationship over. Let's get rid of these braces here. So now the name will be series. It's going to be a relationship to series, and has many will be false, because each episode or each post should only correspond to one series. All right, easy enough. Let's create our first series called, let's give this a save. Let's also refresh this here. I guess I didn't save the series model yet. So when I give this a save, the post should be gone. All right, they're gone. I have created my first series. Let's hop over to the posts now and add our Hello World post into this series. So this should be under meta. And here I have the series. And now I can add it to this newly created series. And that's the relationship as far as it goes. However, there's one more trick we can do when we are on the series. Maybe some time has passed. We do maybe want to see all of the related episodes in here. And we can also do this with a so-called join field from Payload. In here, I would go to the join. And this is used to make the relationship fields available in the opposite direction. So it goes like this. It's of type join. We say what collection is being joined and on what field. So easy enough. Let's say name is posts. The type is a join. The collection is going to be posts. And the field where we are joining on is called, without the quotes, on. And now it's a nested field. So it's inside of the, what is it called? It's a tab. Okay. So let's just go with series. And let's see if that works. So here I am on my series page. Something is loading. And there we go. So now we have a reverse lookup or a lookup in the other direction where we can see all of the different episodes that are inside of this series right here. Let's give our newest changes a save. So we added the series collection. We added it to the payload config. We changed our posts to include the series, and the payload types were also freshly generated. All right. And with that, we have our upgraded website where we have now the ability to embed videos in our posts, and we have the ability to bundle various posts into series. And I think this is looking great for getting started. So I want to thank you all again for tuning in to this episode and catch you in the next one. Onwards, cypherpunks!